Today, we're diving into a bizarre 2009 Japanese cult classic, Symbol. This movie is a wild mix of comedy, fantasy, and mystery. Just a heads up, spoilers are coming, so watch out. We start with a Japanese man waking up in a massive, white, empty room. He's wearing some pretty loud pajamas, and there are no doors, no windows, and no ceiling in sight. While checking out the walls, he finds something super weird sticking out, a little bump shaped exactly like a male member. After poking it a few times, he presses the tip. Suddenly, hundreds of giggling baby angels burst out of the floor and walls. They only stay for a few seconds before vanishing, but they leave something behind. Now, the entire room is covered in those same member-shaped buttons. This is the learning phase. After realizing the button he touched smells, well, weird, the man starts panicking and screaming for help, but nobody answers. He starts hitting random buttons to see what they do. Every time he presses one, a different random object falls from nowhere, everything from a tiny toothbrush to a massive vase. He figures out that hitting the same button gives him the same object, which is how he ends up with a giant pile of chopsticks.
But the fun stops when he hits a button that sends a small cart flying out of the wall, smack into his legs. While he's crying in pain, he hits another button that turns into a literal butt and farts right in his face. Fast forward a few hours and the room is full of junk. He accidentally tosses a ball at the wall, hitting a button that drops a tray of sushi. He's starving, so he's hyped, until he realizes there's no soy sauce. He begs his captors for sauce, but nothing. He keeps hitting buttons until he's surrounded by a mountain of sushi, but still no sauce. He finally gives up and eats it anyway. Of course, the second he finishes the last piece, he hits a button and, you guessed it, a bottle of soy sauce finally shows up. Annoyed, he moves on and finds a pair of old-school 3D glasses. When he puts them on, he sees a baby angel pointing at one specific button. He thinks he's found the exit, but when he presses it, a giant butt appears from the ceiling and farts on him again.
A few hours later, he's killing time reading a manga series he found. He's finished Volume 5 and hits a button for Volume 6, but it skips straight to 7. He tries a bunch of buttons, getting 8 and 9, but Volume 6 is nowhere to be found. Finally, he hits a button that actually does something useful. It slides a section of the wall away to reveal a hidden door. He's celebrating, but then realizes he forgot which button opened the door. He starts smashing buttons. One sends an African tribesman sprinting across the room, another dumps a bucket of water on his head. He finally finds the right one, but as soon as he runs for the exit, the door slams in his face. He realizes the door only stays open as long as the button is held down. He tries everything, pressing it with his foot in a runner's start, hitting it with a fly swatter from a distance, even using a jump rope or a fan. None of it works.
He tries to use the cart to get a head start, but he just can't get the timing right. He realizes he needs to weigh the button down. He puts the heavy vase on it, but the button just pops right back up. He figures he needs to fill the vase to make it heavier. He tries the water button, but the water is rigged to only fall on him no matter where he puts the vase. Then he tries filling it with sushi, but it gets so heavy he can't lift it. Plus, the neck of the vase is too small, so he has to spend forever fishing the sushi back out with chopsticks. He finally gets the weight right and lugs the vase toward the buttons. But, plot twist, he forgets which button is which again.
He hits a random one. The tribesman comes charging out, trips over the vase, and smashes it to pieces. The man totally loses it. He starts screaming and tries to jam sushi into the button, but it just pops out through the rice. He tries tape, then a steel plate, but nothing holds. After a nap and some painkillers, he tries to get some water to brush his teeth. He hits the wrong button and a rope falls from the ceiling. This gives him a Tarzan idea. He'll open the door and use the rope to swing across the room. But when he finally gets to the door, he finds out there's a second door behind it, and it's locked. He barely makes it back into the main room before the fake wall shuts on him. Frustrated, he kicks the wall, which activates a button that makes a key appear, floating in midair.
But just like the door, the key vanishes the second the button pops up. Now he has to keep the key button and the door button down at the same time. He's lost the key button again, so he starts guessing. First button, a dog comes out and barks at him. Second button, another dog. Third time's a charm. He finds the key. He marks the button with a piece of sushi, but when he hits it, a dog comes out and eats the sushi. He eventually gets a rhythm going. He uses a plunger to push himself off the walls while swinging on the rope. In a crazy acrobatic move, he hits the key button, grabs the key, hits the door button, and swings through the exit. He jams the key into the lock, but then sees the final boss, a combination lock that needs 3 numbers.
He gets kicked back into the main room as the door shuts. In a rage, he throws his plunger, hitting a button that releases the tribesman again. 613. This time, he notices 3 numbers painted on the tribesman's forehead. That's the code! He does the whole rope and plunger routine 3 more times to enter the code. He finally gets the door open, but it's stuck. He has to shove it with everything he's got. It opens, but the wall behind him shuts, trapping him in a tiny gap with no room to move. He breaks down crying, missing the junk-filled room he was just in. At least he had space there. Suddenly, he feels a breeze. He finds a crack in the wall. It's another fake panel. He pushes through and finds himself in a mysterious, pitch-black hallway. He runs for what feels like forever. By the time he finds another room, his hair is long and his pajamas are faded. This room is empty too, but instead of baby angels, there are adult angels. This is the practice phase. Meanwhile, we jump to Mexico. A family is worried about their father, a wrestler called Escargot Man. He's been acting quiet because he's about to fight a much younger opponent. His wife thinks he's nervous, but the grandpa says it's about experience. His daughter, Sister Karen, drives him to the ring. At school,
his son Antonio is getting bullied because everyone thinks his dad is a loser. The match starts. Escargot Man and his partner, Silver Eagle, are getting absolutely wrecked by the Northern Tough Ones. Silver Eagle takes a beating while Escargot Man waits. Silver Eagle manages a brilliant start, but is soon overpowered. He pulls a trick to escape, leaving Escargot Man to face them alone. Just as Escargot Man is about to get hit with a chair, our guy in the white room hits a button. Suddenly, Escargot Man's neck magically stretches out, and he headbutts both opponents into a knockout. Our guy in the room is confused because nothing happened in his room, so he keeps smashing the button. This causes Escargot Man to accidentally knock out his own partner, the ref, his son, and even the ringside bell. He tries other buttons. One makes a metal singer in LA breathe fire, another makes a Russian magician fail a trit, and another makes a guy in China bark at his dogs. He notices the room has no ceiling now, and he can see angels flying above. He decides to stop pressing buttons and starts using them to climb the walls. Every time he grabs a button or steps on one, something massive happens on Earth, from flowers blooming to an elephant dying. The higher he climbs, the bigger the impact, everything from toasters being invented to the moon landing. By the time he hits the top, his hair and beard are huge. He's no longer just a man, he can float. Using everything he's learned, he accepts his role as a god. He stops hitting random buttons and starts intentionally choosing humanity's greatest hits. Finally, the walls turn into feathers, and he steps through a glowing portal into the last room. It's covered in maps of the continents and has one final giant button. This is the future.